Doug participated in many outdoor adventures. He liked hiking, biking, kayaking, canoeing, and camping. And many of the excursions he took alone, he faced perils and beauty, all solo, as part of engaging with the natural world. However, he wanted to make sure to share his love with nature, his love of nature with his son, as mentioned previously. While Doug and his son went on many hikes together, and they share a love of working with plants. Doug also took his son Ben on 2 notable trips. He took Ben to Costa Rica to explore the lavish rainforest, and he arranged for Ben and he to raft down the Grand Canyon together. Sounded like it was an amazing trip.
Heck yeah.
More recently, Doug took to playing the Native American flute along with the sounds of the streams as he hiked in the mountains. This had become a Sunday ritual for him. In honor of Doug's deep relationship with the natural world, Doug's neighbor Lee Berg will share a poem by Wendell Berry, The Peace of Wild Things. Welcome, Lee. Thank you.
My wife and I first knew Doug as handyman, then as a good man, and then as a good friend. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
Thank you. Doug truly found his peace and freedom in his relationship with the natural world, and may his spirit find that same grace now. Khalil Gibran asks, "For what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun?" Finally, all of Doug's choices were informed by his spiritual quest, which was sincerely undertaken and embodied over many decades. While he grew up in a Protestant household, he went on to explore Hindu, Buddhist, yogic, and psychic practices. His true spiritual expression emerged in his own brand of kind, compassionate patience and presence. His ability to be with people and his genuine interest in the human experience made him a wonderful conversationalist. In his conversations and interactions, his genuine, open-hearted kindness emerged. To be kind was his spiritual practice, and he demonstrated it exceptionally. Like the sacred Hindu text, the Upanishad states, "From joy all beings have come, by joy they all live, and unto joy they all return." Doug recognized both the draw of a spiritual life, as he would say, "Well, what else is there to do?" and the trials of such a quest. He would often marvel at the challenging twists and turns of life. He felt that at the end of the day, we must all learn to surrender. Doug's commitment to kindness outwardly, as well as his daily practice of surrender inwardly, emerged from a deep grappling with the basic juxtapositioning of the ravages of life on the one hand and the transcendence of love, peace, and beauty on the other. Doug completed the minister's program during his studies here at the Boulder Psychic Institute in the Church of Divine Light. One of his classmates from that program, Carrie Christopher, will share a poem that captures the intensity of pursuing spiritual development. This poem speaks to Doug's conviction that the spiritual path cultivates an appreciation of a certain relationship between suffering and beauty. Welcome, Carrie.
Hi, my name is Reverend Carrie Christopher. I'm a spiritualist minister with the Church of Divine Light. I went through the ministry program with Doug and a couple of us here. Heidi taught it, and it was a pretty intense experience. We got to know each other very well, and this is a reading that I think he would have appreciated based on kind of the growth that we did together. So this is a poem by Adyashanti. He is a Buddhist teacher in San Francisco. And this is an excerpt from his book called My Secret is Silence. And the name of the piece is A Tendency to Shine. If you prefer smoke over fire, then get up now and leave. For I do not intend to perfume your mind's clothing with more sooty knowledge. No, I have something else in mind. Today I hold a flame in my left hand and a sword in my right. There will be no damage control today. For God is in a mood to plunder your riches and fling you nakedly into such breathtaking poverty that all that will be left is a tendency to shine. So don't just sit around this flame, choking on your mind. This is no campfire song to mindlessly mantra yourself to sleep with. Jump now into the space between thoughts and exit this dream before I burn the damn place down.
Thank you. Doug could be pretty fierce when he wanted to.
Yeah.
While Doug shared the poem's view that spiritual growth could be exacting, his spiritual passion remained devotional and centered around heart-opening activities. One of his favorite methods to open the heart and to align the vibration of the body to that of the spirit included chanting. Now, Elizabeth Garidi, who participated with Doug and Heidi in their sound healings at Soul Tree Yoga, will lead a chant in order that all of us may take this time to connect into our hearts as Doug so loved to do. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Reverend Elizabeth Garidi, and I also was in the minister's program with Doug, and Carrie. And I was also in the minister's program with Doug and Carrie that Heidi and Noah taught. And Doug was my service partner. We had to do, one of the requirements of the class was we had to do services, ceremonial services. And everybody had a partner, and Doug was my service partner. And I had been wanting to sing and things like that. Wow. I'm wondering if I could put this down somewhere. Just turn it on.
Just stand over there.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Oh. Anyway, long story short, Doug wanted to do chants. And I was like, okay. And he introduced me to Kirtan and this song that we're going to sing, which is called Ma. And the lyrics are very simple, and I really encourage all of you to sing along. This chant is very singable. The first 3/4 of it, the lyrics are Ma, and there's a high part and a low part. You can feel free to sing whichever part you feel comfortable with. There is a musical interlude in the middle of it. And then the final part continues with Ma, and in the last quarter of the song, the lyrics are, bountiful am I, blissful am I, beautiful am I, which I think is how Doug lived his life.
Ram Dass has said, our journey is about being more deeply involved in life and yet less attached to it. Doug's easy generosity of spirit modeled this journey. Before we open up the floor for you to share your stories of Doug, his wife Heidi would like to share a brief eulogy. Thank you, Heidi.
So, Doug and I were planning to do something special today. Not this. Today would have marked the 4-year anniversary of our first date. When he wanted to show appreciation for our relationship, he would say to me, 10-4, good buddy. So I had hoped to spend today on a date with Doug. However, given that that option was taken off of the table, I'm grateful to get to join together with all of you today who, like me, love Doug. Doug was so loved by so many. And these past few weeks, I've been the beneficiary of that love through the support, kindness, and generosity and outreach of so many people. I was blessed in my relationship with Doug, and now, at this time of his crossing, I continue to be blessed by the return of the kindness that he extended to others. So thank you for being here today to mark Doug's life. Doug and I celebrated each new year by drawing an intention. And the activity was not intended to specifically name resolutions or to commit ourselves to various changes. Instead, we would draw our intentions in order to set the energy for the year. Then we would see what would unfold. So I included Doug's drawing for 2019 on the program because it seems significant. You're welcome to view or interpret his drawing however you would wish. When I met Doug at the Boulder Psychic Institute, I was establishing a regular Friday night church service, originally called TGIF. It was based on cultivating community through games. It was not an immediate hit and eventually got reimagined. Many people were too self-conscious to participate in the activities that I introduced. However, Doug was at the first service in which we did the hokey pokey, as well as nearly every service afterwards. He loved playing the cooperative games that I would organize each week, and I used to call him my best congregant. As we got to know each other, we began dating. One of the poems that I had framed in my house was by Hafiz. Doug would read it each time he came to visit until he had it memorized. The subject tonight is love, and for tomorrow night as well. As a matter of fact, I know of no better topic for us to discuss until we all die. It was Doug's favorite poem. It resonated with him so much because it captures how he lived his life. His spiritual commitment and guiding light was to act in the world and to relate to others always from a place of love. When we would discuss how to handle various situations, Doug would predictably respond, love. I would ask how to apply it, which actions would exemplify love in various contexts. He would inevitably say, you just have to feel it. So while I would seek this balance of the head and the heart, Doug was all heart. And that is how he approached his activities, as well as people, animals, and plants. He used to tell me that the flowers are the faces of the plants. I asked him about the leaves, to which he replied that the leaves too were the faces of the plants. all of them, the flowers and the leaves, he felt needed to be acknowledged and encouraged. That carefulness with life extended to all of his interactions. For that reason, he could talk with anyone extensively, which meant, as Stephen pointed out, that he often arrived late. But when he finally did show up, he did so with kindness and gentleness. I once explained to him that being late is not loving. He thought about it for a few days and then re-engaged the conversation with a simple, "I agree." After that point, he tried more consciously to get places on time. However, his continued commitment to smelling the flowers and petting the leaves meant that his timekeeping remained spotty. For me, this location, the Boulder Psychic Institute, is where I met Doug, it's where I married Doug, and now it's where I release our earthly relationship. Also, though, this is the place in which it's easy to see Doug's spirit and to feel Doug's love and to access Doug's presence. Doug and I provided monthly sound healing offerings here for 3.5 years. Through sound healing, Doug found a way to share the vibration of love that he valued so deeply and embodied so profoundly. The sound healings were all heart space. Doug could talk about why the vibrations of the singing bowls, Native American flutes, and gong were healing, but it was not a conceptual activity for Doug. Providing sound healings was an opportunity to help people experience the joy and freedom of breaking down the blocks that would otherwise keep them from living in tune with the vibration of love. While offering sound healing ceremonies was Doug's passion, he also had a natural kinship with animals. Although he was sheepish about his pet readings, his insights were uncanny. Because he led with his heart and his heart was so clear, he could understand non-human communications easily. So easily that he didn't realize how astute and helpful he was. While Doug left me with many gifts, including wry jokes about our life together and carrying memories of dates and walks, our time together was far too short. We worked diligently as a couple to set up a life that would support us as we moved forward together. We were almost to a point where we could begin to enjoy the fruits of our labor. The night before Doug died, we had the most beautiful date. We went to Fort Collins together to see one of my favorite singer-songwriters, Dan Byrne. We went out to dinner at our beloved vegan restaurant, found the concert venue, ran into friends who sat with us at the show, and met the performer. On the drive home, Doug raved about the entire performance. The next morning, Doug was searching out other gigs by this singer on YouTube. He said, "I love this guy." Then he told me his favorite song by him. Doug and I had laid the groundwork to be able to enjoy evenings out and time together. We were laughing as Doug left that day on his motorcycle. Now, part of the pain and sadness that those of us here experience as the result of Doug's passing stems from allowing ourselves to feel the love that Doug allowed to guide his life. In our sorrow, we open our hearts to the vibration of love that mirrors the loving vibration that Doug so intentionally brought to all of his interactions. In his death, Doug leaves us with the final gift of having our hearts exposed in their raw beauty. And I will close with another of Doug's favorite poems. This is the